Test 1, 2, 3, prova. Test Brugnara, prova. Nicola, sicuro di attivato l'audio? Ok, no, no, ok, ok. Nessuno stacco.
Grazie anch'io. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Alexander James. I'm Oric's European Managing Partner. It's a great pleasure to welcome you all here today for this important Minibond Day. It's nice to see so many people in our London office, and thank you for bringing the good weather with you. That's the first time we've seen the sun in many weeks. So good. I hope you have a great day. Enjoy Oric's hospitality here. As I said, we're very pleased to have you here. Patrizia will chair the day. If there's anything that we, the Oric team, can do for you during the course of the day, we'd be very happy to help you. And I hope you have a very successful and positive and interesting discussion around this important topic. So with that, Patrizia, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. Thanks very much. Let's say we are very, very proud to host this first Minibond Day in London. It is really, really a pleasure. And for me, it's a pleasure to introduce to you the panel that we have today. This is an event that we, let's say, created together with Popolare di Vicenza and K&G and Servant Group. In relation to this, today we have Mauro Alfonso. He is the first on my left, is the head of Servant rating agency in Italy. And then we have Andrea Piazzetta, he is the deputy general manager and CFO of Banca Popolare di Vicenza. And then we have Andrea Podestà, managing partner of K&G Securities on my left. And then we are very excited to introduce to you a couple of example and case study of Minibond. The first one would be Estra, and we have today Alessandro Piazzi, that is the CEO of Estra, the first on my right. And then we have Tesmec as well. And today we are very honored to have here Ambrogio Caccia Dominioni from Tesmec, here first chair, and Angela Turani. Thank you. And the case study will be run by Paolo Altichieri, that is the head of global market in Popolare di Vicenza. So that is the day. I hope that we can do everything in time. I think, first of all, I need to tell you that Stefano Filippo is supposed to be here today, and he apologized to be not here because you know that fortunately in Italy we have a new government. That is a good news, but they are going to let's say prepare everything today, and unfortunately Stefano was involved in the affair with the new ministry. So Stefano is not here. He authorized us to distribute his speech, and you have in your material his speech, and certainly we can try to organize another event with Stefano Filippo, and will be very interesting. Okay, so I think we can start the first speech and the first consideration in relation to the legislation of Minibond. So I'll tell you in advance, it will be just 10 minutes, not 1 hour, just main figures and a general introduction of the legislation and of the new legislation that we adopted just a couple of weeks ago. So you know that we in Italy we approved legislation of covered bonds in June 2012, and would be a kind of let's say legislation in progress, And we finalized this progress just with the conversion of the new decree, Destinazione Italia, in February 2014, just to be precise, 21st of February. In relation to the legislation of Minibond, let's stress three main items: the tax regime applicable to all Minibonds, the legal reform, second items relating to the bond and similar securities, and the short-term debt and commercial paper. In relation to the tax regime, you know probably that in order to, let's say, speed up the process to market the mini bonds, the Italian legislator decided for three big and main reforms: the deductibility of interest, the withholding tax of 20% that are no longer required. In relation to the deductibility of interest, I would say that for sure we can apply the deductibility of interest, but as you know very well, the mini bonds also issued by unlisted companies, they should be traded on regulated market or multilateral trading facilities such as XMO, or held by professional investors. If one of these two requirements are there, for sure we have the deductibility of interest. The second tax advantage would be the fact that we don't have more the withholding tax of 20%. So issue of mini bonds are no longer required to apply 20% withholding tax if we have the company shares are traded on a regulated market, or mini bonds are traded on regulated market or multilateral trading facilities, or they are paid to undertakings for collective investment or anyway funds in general. I would like to just stress a few new points that we have approved with the new Destinazione Italia in February. And these are very important because are issue that we stress when we started to work with mini bonds in the last few months. The first is the security package tax regime. The Italian legislator was really sensitive to that point, so we have a very good tax regime for security package that is 0.25%, the same tax regime that we have for the loan. And then, in order to, let's say, provide for secured bond, we can use the privilegio speciale. Privilegio speciale is a specific security that we have according to the Italian law. This could be very important. We have done this slide just to demonstrate to you how the mini bonds can be really, really similar to the loan. Because when we started this market, investors, issuer, clients, they said, why we need to issue a mini bond and not to have a loan to be much more favorable in respect of mini bond. In this slide, you can see that basically now with the Destinazione Italia, with the new legislation that the legislator approved a couple of weeks ago, basically the tax regime is very, very simple. Other news from Destinazione Italia that in brief I would like to tell you. First, now it is confirmed that we can do securitization of mini bonds. I was really, let's say, favorable about that. I think it was clear in the past legislation, but now it is much more clear because the legislator said you can do it. So we can do securitization of mini bonds. And that is very, very important, and we can talk about that. And then the legislator provided, in particular, a specific provision for investors, in particular for insurance companies and pension funds. In fact, they can invest easily in mini bonds. And basically, for example, for an insurance company, they can use mini bonds or CBOs of mini bonds for their technical reserve, what we call in the Italian system, reserve tecniche. Another main point for Destinazione Italia is the role of the Italian Guarantee Fund. And this is very important. The Italian Guarantee Fund can can do wrapping in respect of structure of mini bonds. At the moment, we don't know how they can wrap this structure. In fact, we are waiting a new decree, but for sure the Italian legislator said that the Fondo di Garanzia can, let's say, provide guarantee also to asset management companies. This is very, very important. Other technical advantage that I think we can let's say, you can see in the speech that you have in your material. What I would like to, let's say, stress as a main steps of the issuance of mini bonds, probably, you know that certainly issue of mini bonds means, be very careful about the issue of bonds according to the Italian legislation and regulation and corporate regulation of the issuer, and then settlement of mini bonds, that it means clearing in a house. We at the moment, Monte Titoli is very keen, and they are very prepared to do that. And then for sure, admission to trading on the Extramod Pro. This is a segment that Borsa Italiana made for mini bonds. Of course, we cannot exclude that other stock exchange can provide other segment, but at the moment, Extramod is our segment for mini bonds, and of course, subscription of the mini bonds by professional investors. I would like to close my first consideration, let's say, stressing to you a couple of legal structure, and then, of course, other colleagues can talk about that. First legal structure is how we can, let's say, have the mini bonds and the mini bonds, few mini bonds, or an amount of mini bonds subscribed by an investment fund. For sure, this is a structure that we discussed with Italian authority, and this is a structure that we can do according to the Italian law. So an investment fund can directly subscribe if they want one or few mini bonds, and then they can sell quotas. That is something very simple. Second structure that is, let's say, also stressed by the new legislation approved a couple of weeks ago, is a kind of CBO structure in which mini bonds now can be directly subscribed, or by the bank, if a bank wants to subscribe, or directly by the vehicle, and then the vehicle can issue ABS. I hope I can. I hope my speech was in time. So now that we have, let's say, at least a picture of the Italian legislation, I believe that Mauro Alfonso, head of Servet Rating Agency, can talk about rating methodology and international competitiveness.
Thank you very much, Patrizio. First of all, good morning to everybody. I'm very happy to be here today. I think this is quite an important starting point for many of us in this interesting market. So, I would invite you to open the presentation given to everybody, where you can find Mr. Firpo presentation. I'm sorry he is not here, but I want to really thank him for his extraordinary contribution to the corporate finance reform in Italy. In the very first word I see in his presentation is bank centrism. Well, I started working in finance almost 20 years ago, and already at that time everybody was waiting for something to change in our system. So we have seen for 20 years people waiting for corporates to have the possibility and the opportunity to finance themselves through the capital markets, but for a number of reasons that never happened. Now I think we are in a real secular change, and I think this is an extraordinary opportunity for all the players involved in this game. Of course, it is a big opportunity for the issuers. It is a big opportunity for banks. It is a big opportunity for all those involved in consultancy activities, for lawyers, for investors, of course. And also, we need to have the contribution of a rating agency who can give its contribution to the rise of this new market. I would like to give you really a very short presentation of who Cerve Group is, and to try to give you what can be our contribution to this challenge. Okay. I will give you a very short picture of what the history of this company is. Well, Cerve is the aggregation in the time of several entities which were active and are active in different business activities. So this is the result of a merger of 7 companies which were and are active in business and economic information, that are active in real estate business, in marketing information, in scoring and rating services, of course, and credit collection and management. The group is now organized and designed, as you can see in the right side of this slide, and it's owned by a private equity firm, a large private equity firm, which is CVC Capital Partners. To give you a bit of what we do, I can tell you that the bulk of the Cerve activity is historically the business information. So we provide business reports, we provide ratings and scoring, and we provide a number of data to the market. Being active in the credit information for consumers, also for individuals. We are giving information on real estate dynamics and data. We do credit collection. We provide marketing services and some consultancy services. Our clients are banks, insurance companies, and corporate clients and individual clients. Almost all banks in Italy have some services given by the Cerve Group. So we are really a quite good provider of the banking system. We also serve the insurance market players, and we support international and domestic players in Italy for their operations. We have a huge number of corporate clients. We serve more than 30,000 corporates in Italy. And what is important, we serve more than 0.5% of the top 100 corporations in Italy in terms of turnover. We also give services to individual clients. Despite this is not a well-known company abroad, in Italy Cerve is a quite consolidated company, and those numbers are really relevant. The company has more than 1,000 employees, and to deliver the credit rating services, we have more than 100 employees. Most of them have a consolidated experience in the business, and so we can have huge number of valid and very supportive professionals on the rating business. As I told you, we have more than 30,000 clients, and what is impressive is the database that Sherbet Group has. This is a database which has been fed for years, and we have more than 30 million balance sheets of Italian corporates. We can have in our database 57 million payment experiences. We can count on more than 10 million official company functions, and we have information about 142,000 Italian groups. In terms of revenues, the 2013 expected turnover is 310 million euros, and EBITDA is expected to be 150 euros. Of course, we are enforcing our rating activity, and you know that rating is something which is regulated by some authorities. Sherbet Group is the only one to have the three main registration on, or licenses, you can call them as you like. So we have the registration by ESMA, which is the European Security and Market Authorities, which was given in 2012. We have the license as EK, which was given in 2008, and this is the recognition by the Bank of Italy to have Sherbet Group ratings used for regulatory purposes. And we also have the ECB recognition. So this is the only rating agency in Italy having those three registration, and nobody else can support the market with the same status in terms of regulation. What is impressive again is to see what the data sources we have is composed. So we can have data from several sources. The most important ones are on the second row you can see there. So we have information from the Italian Chamber of Commerce in many ways. We can approach and have information from the National Real Estate Database, from the Ministry of Employment. We can have information from company suppliers, and we have information from commercial partners of companies. A number of sources are continuing feeding our database, which is really impressive. So if you look at what kind of data we have on the left side of this slide, it is really a huge volume of information. So this is basically, I would say, the fuel of our engine. We are, of course, trying to develop this engine and to make the rating activity more in line with what is the requirement of the marketplace. So it will be useful for everybody to know something else about the methodology. I will go through some methodological definitions, starting from the default definition. Our models are being developed on some different definition of default. It includes the bankruptcy and some legal procedures. It includes the debt restructuring and information about delays of payments. Our rating model is segmented in the way you can see there. So we have large corporates. For us, this is corporates having a turnover above 150 million euros. Then we have big corporates with revenues between 5 and 150 million euros, and small business enterprises which are below 5 million euros. What is interesting is to know that according to our data, the number of corporations who are eligible for a mini bond transaction are in the range of 20,000. So if we consider all those companies having revenues between 5 and 250 million, we can have a potential market of around 20,000 corporates that might issue a mini bond. The rating components that we are considering in our activity, of course, start from the financial ratios. For financial ratios, we of course consider some key ratios like EBITDA on total assets rather than cash flow on total assets, and many ratios that are quite familiar with investors. We consider some industry and geographical risk factors, and we also give some assumptions and valuation on the governance and on the management of the company. This is reflected into the financial grading that we start with, which is of course supported by the structural grading and in the integrated base score. After the collection and the elaboration of those data, which also consider some possible negative events and some other proprietary information, we have let's say the contribution of the analytical part, and we can add some qualitative contribution on the quantitative side. Of course, we have a proprietary rating scale, which is a little bit different from the ones that you probably know. If you can see in this slide our rating scale on the left side, in comparison with the probably the more familiar ones of the big three rating agencies. So, of course, we also have a distinction between investment grade and speculative grade. For us, investment grade starts at B1.2 and above. For the speculative grade, you can see it starts from B2.1 and below. The rating process is not that different from the one used by the big three. We start from having a mandate from the client. Of course, we need to have a preliminary set of information to start our analytical job. In this phase, we try to get some data from the issuer. Then we process those data, and we start doing the quantitative side of our job. After that, we have a preliminary assessment, and we do after a analytical valuation, where the analyst can give his or her qualitative judgment on the output of the model, and that concludes with the preliminary rating assignment to the company. Then we have a rating committee where the proposal given by the analyst is discussed and the rating is assigned. The final approval is given by a supervisor, and this assessment is communicated to the issuer in a proper time. This process is not that long. Usually it takes more or less 60 days. So, of course, that depends on the availability of data by the issuers. but usually in a couple of months we are able to deliver this product. After the communication and assignment of the rating, we start the monitoring activity, which is a continuous activity on the main events on the company. And this is monitored till the mandate could give us the right to observe and give assignment to the company. So as you can see, the process is not that different from the ones of the big three. To go into more detailed information about methodology and criteria, I would invite you to visit our website, which is quite clear, and that you can find all the detailed information about the process. What I can say is that we are investing a lot of resources in this rating business. We believe that we can give a contribution to the development of this market. So we are very proud to represent a valid support for all those players involved in this new market. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mauro. This is very interesting, and for sure you are doing a great and huge amount of work for the development of this market, and this is for sure very well known in Italy. So thanks for your speech. Now I would like to introduce to you Andrea Piazzetta. As I said, Andrea is the Deputy General Manager for Popolare di Vicenza, CFO of the bank, and in charge, together with Paolo, of this main project of Minibond.
Thank you, Patrizio. Let me first of all thank you everybody for coming. When with Patrizio we decided to organize this event in London, we couldn't imagine such an important and qualified audience, really. So many thanks. And many thanks also for giving us the opportunity to discuss about the mini bonds. For our point of view, it's a new perspective for the SMEs in order to assess new sources of liquidity, new sources of funding, especially in an environment like what we are living now, which is very gloomy. Let me also give some words about Popolare di Vicenza, because some of you are asking why Popolare di Vicenza in London and why Popolare di Vicenza with Oric and other partners are talking about the mini bonds now. Popolare di Vicenza is the largest not listed Italian bank. We are cooperative. This means that each shareholder cannot own more than 1% of the total capital of the bank and have just one vote right. We have in excess of 90,000 shareholders, and 95 to 97% of these shareholders are retailers. Only 3%, 4% are institutional investors. We are a very boring commercial bank with a national relevance, and large part of our loans book are in the northeast region. I would say 2/3 of our loan book are in the northeast region, which are the wealthiest parts of Italy, but I would say also is one of the wealthiest parts in Europe. We have a strong presence in central Italy, Tuscany and Lazio, especially in Rome, and we are present also in Sicily. As I told before, we perform a very traditional banking business model based on 3 pillars from the loans perspective. So we grant residential mortgages to retailers and short-term and long-term financing to SMEs. Just a number, 80% of the total asset that accounts for our bank in 50 billions are loans granted to retailers and small and medium enterprises. On the other side, from the liquidity point of view, 2/3 of our funding needs comes from the retail. Sometimes when we roadshow our stuff in Europe, and when we try to sell bonds to the markets, we meet investors, and investors that don't know Popolare di Vicenza, don't know Vicenza itself, but some of you, some of them, know the Berica name, Berica brand. This is because we are very active in the securitization space, and since early 2000 we issued 14 securitization to the market. 12 of them are RMBS, and 2 of them are SMEs securitization. The last one was last year in summer, and we sold 1 billion of senior note backed by SMEs loans to the market. And then we started thinking about the possibility, the opportunity to set up a framework for Minibond and to try to find a new solution for our SMEs. What we have experienced in the last couple of years is that also healthy companies found very difficult to get money from the banks, and there are several reasons for this. First, some Italian banks should think that the SMEs should have more capital, more equity in order to get money from the bank. Second, banks are struggling and they're experiencing a sharp and strong increase in terms of NPLs. And this is mainly due to the the economic crisis, but also for the recent visits of Bank of Italy that asked for capital increase for the bank, and the bank, in order to increase the capital, in order to reduce their RWA, has decided to shrink their balance sheet, reducing funding to the SMEs. What we have done in this environment, Popolare di Vicenza have grown 50% in our loan book over the last 5 years, and the path of growth has exceeded the Italian average by 3 times. So we wanted to support our customers, especially in those territories where we have our grassroots. So we keep on doing our business, but we want also to explore a new opportunity for our customer. In order to explore this new opportunity, we want to, let me say, find new sources of funding for our customers. But for doing that, our board of directors decided to authorize a plafond of 250 million to invest in Minibonds, first of all. This is important because this represents the skin, the very important skin in the game of the bank with respect to these new instruments. So, starting from our customers, we have identified 800 customers that can follow the following criteria. They are existing BPV clients with a comprehensive long-term relationship with the bank. They have the last 2 accounts in profit, and they have an EBITDA that is above 10% of the total turnover of the company. They have already a rating appointed by Served, in this case, because Served is our partner. And the probability of default, 1 year probability of default, lasts from 0.13% to 1.5%. This is our customer base, and we started from this. What we are doing is, we want to underwrite a Minibond issued by the target group using our plafond. We share methodology to select eligible counterparties, the partners, and we give full transparency of the due diligence process and creditworthiness evaluation through external credit rating. The portfolio that we have in mind have a target yield of 6.50%, unlevered and untranched. skip the legal framework, is well explained by Patrizio, and from the characteristic point of view, our mini bonds has to be a tenor in the range of 3 to 7 years. They are fixed coupon, bearing a coupon in the region of 5 to 7%. Obviously, this is on average. This means that in terms of bid swap is mid swap plus 450, 650 basis points. The amount or the size of the mini bonds are from 2.5 million to 50 million, even though I think that under 5 million the cost of structuring is too high in order to issue bond under this level. And the redemption is bullet. In terms of fees, is to be determined because it depends on the size of the bond, the tenor of the bond, and obviously it's a matter of bargaining with the companies. Listing. We want to have our mini bond listed in the Extra Mod Pro, that is the specific segment in Borsa Italiana where these issues are to be listed. In terms of chartered account, the 2013 has to be mandatory, and we want one of the constraints that we put in the term sheet is that the balance sheet of the company has to be audited. So if not, we provide support because we have signed an agreement with KPMG in order to provide auditing services at predefined cost and time frame to the company. We talk about the rating, so Mauro Alfonso explained very well the rating methodology of Cervec, which is the rating agency we choose. An important point to underline is that Banca Popolare di Vicenza will guarantee full underwriting for the securities using the plafond I talked before. And in any case, we retain at least 5% of each transaction in order to secure alignment of interest with other investors. Another thing to point out is that in order to avoid conflict of interest, is the usual blame that investors versus the bank cannot substitute loans granted to the companies with mini bonds. So at least the bank will increase its exposure with the company, and the mini bond retained is on top on the current exposure. I will skip the rating part. Patrizio talked about the tax treatment. I will go to how to get exposure for an investor. So an investor can buy the bond at issuance or in the secondary market if available. We hope that in the near future a secondary market will be present. It depends on how many bonds will be listed on the market, obviously, and how many institutional investors are on the market. We are also setting up a fund where a portfolio bond can be underlined in a closed-end fund, and this fund is Paolo is suggesting what I can say, what I cannot say. No, we are setting up a fund with Lixor as a manager, and where Lixor has the right of first refusal for each bond originated and structured by the bank. Is it right? Okay. The fund size is minimum 250 million up to 500 million, and the first capital call of the fund is expected in mid-May. What I can say is that Banca Popolare di Vicenza and its affiliates has a strong, firm commitment of 100 million on the fund. Where we are after 4 months of origination, we have a pipeline of 20 to 30 names. Two of them are present here in London. And we think that we could have 20 issues by end of June. The main feature of our pipeline is issue size is on average 10 to 15 million. An average 1-year PD of 0.81%, an average yield from 6 to 6.5%, and the industry we met so far are utilities, Extra for example is one of them, mechanic, automotive, winemaker, steel maker, logistic, organic farm and food products and chemicals. An additional feature we put in our mini bond, which is I think unique in the mini bonds panorama, is what we call an equity kicker. An equity kicker, that means that if during the life of the bond the company goes listed, the bondholder has the right to buy shares at discount price on the IPO price. The discount price is from 5% to 10%. In the case of Extra, for example, the discount price is 7%. Then Paolo will go deep inside these characteristics, these features, when we talk about the history. In terms of riskness of the portfolio, starting from the table made by Charbed, we have 60% of our prospective issues in the B1.2 rating by Charbed, which is a BBB minus if we map the rating with the S&P, and 40% of the prospective issues are B2.1, which is just one notch sub-investment grade. And finally, in terms of yield, the comparison we put in the slide is with a BTP with the same maturity. A BTP with the same maturity has a yield of 2.8%. An Italian financial national champions, Intesa Sanpaolo, for example, is 3.5%. Our last EMTN 5-year, which is the Italian financial sub-investment grade, this is our bond, is 4%. The mini bond gross yield is 6.35%. If you calculate the risk-adjusted yield of the portfolio mini bond, taking into account the historical CDR, this means that the yield is 5.35%. So everybody can appreciate the spread versus BTPs or other alternative investments with respect to the mini bond portfolio. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andrea. This is very helpful. Just to complete the general introduction of the mini bond, I would like to introduce to you again KNG. KNG is a security house. They have a strong franchise in Italy, and they are very committed on the Italian market. They are involved in various assets, and we basically, as Andrea said, we structured together this event today. So I would like to thank you, Andrea, for your help, for your support, and you know, as Andrea Piazzetta said, it's for sure it's a very good event, very good conference, as far as we consider. So Andrea Podestà, managing partner of KNG Securities, and he talked about his guys.
Good morning to everybody, and thanks for attending, and thank you very much for having the opportunity to be here, and so I would like to thank Ulrich for hosting us, and also Brother Vicenza and Andrea and Paolo for choosing us as a capital markets partner in this very important effort. So I'll be spending a little bit of time on just presenting what is KNG, and to talk about the firm a before we move into the capital market aspect of what we are about to do. KG is a firm that was established more than 10 years ago, and it's a group of former bankers that get together. We are more than 25 now, and effectively we all have accumulated extensive experience in the investment banking sector, and we put the experience and expertise accumulated at work in order to position ourselves in those segments of the capital markets that do make sense for us to be there and for our expertise to be valuable. The firm is run by 3 partners, managing partners, myself on the fixed income side, Nick and Arup, who also were the original 2 of the 3 original founders around the convertible business, and we have extensive expertise across this segment. In particular, our business model revolves around 2 main pillars. One is the standard capital markets activity in the context of market making in the space of liquid and less liquid assets in both fixed income and convertibles. And in parallel, very important, we have an activity which is the solution, spatial solution business, which revolves around the analysis of special situation arising from the current market and the current dislocation, analyzing the special situation and providing a solution and a way out for these specifics. And I do think that the Minibond effort, which we're about to entertain, fits very well into this space, because it is the result, of course, of a changed market, of a dislocated market, of a market that needs liquidity. Notably, in this space, we have carried out one very important transaction from the financial standpoint, which is the securitization, which hasn't happened for a long time, of healthcare receivables, 100% carried out in-house, by which we financed through one of our SPVs the purchase of a portfolio of healthcare receivables, past due healthcare receivables, which is a representation of the state of the market, and as we will see further on in the presentation, of the need of the corporate sector to finance the working capital. In parallel with the healthcare transaction, we also closing now in these weeks, and we were going through the rating process of a salary loan securitization, which is also again a representation of the rewiring of the system, of the need for new sources of financing. KG operates predominantly in Europe. Our head office is in Europe, and we have, I would say, Western Europe. We also have quite a penetrating presence in West and East Coast US, and of course we do have activity in Asia as well, India in particular. We are an ICMA member. Now, in order to address the Minibond market, a lot has already been said. Therefore, I will focus predominantly on analyzing what has been done outside of Italy so far, and also the implication from a capital market standpoint, plus a case study which refers to Copasa, which is the first Minibond issue that was brought to the market at the end of December, and in which we actively participated. First of all, again, has been reiterated, but I just want to stress the concept once more. The SME sector is the backbone of Europe. 2 in 3 jobs are in the SME sector, and even more so is the backbone of Italy, as we all know, and is the backbone of Southern Europe. Therefore, Spain, Portugal, and Italy have an above-average employment within the SME segment. Clearly, over the last years, following the crisis, the bank lending has been less and less accessible for SMEs, and therefore they found themselves in the need for new source of funding due to the tighter credit standards, more stringent collateral requirement, lower loan-to-value ratios on the real estate side, even the request for personal guarantees by the bank. This all led to a diminished credit availability in the space. That also has led to effectively a tightening of the supply of credit, and at the same time, the corporate themselves have demanded less credit. So all in all, there is the market is locked, and there is clear need for alternative source of funding. In particular, as anticipated before, is not funding for just investments, but in many cases is funding for to finance the working capital, as we've seen, for example, in the healthcare transaction, and is the case in several situations. Now, what has happened in Europe? What is Europe doing to help the SME sector? Clearly, there are several jurisdictions that have started addressing the issue, starting from Germany, England, Benelux, Spain, Italy, and as we understand from recent conversation, Portugal is also looking into the segment. All started in around 2010. I'd like to start with Germany. Effectively, what happened in Germany is that rather than having a centralized stock exchange to facilitate the listing of corporate bonds, Mittelstand, the local SMEs, we had in Germany the several regional exchanges, notably in Düsseldorf, Frankfurt, Hamburg, Munich, and Stuttgart, in order to provide listing and capital market access for SMEs, the Mittelstand, aimed at both institutional and retail investors. They also deployed so-called quality liquidity providers in order to facilitate liquidity in the market. So far, the market has raised around 3 billion, and as I understand, as a result of the less problematic state of the country, the market tended to provide access to more leveraged companies that tended to have more difficulty in accessing funding, rather than what I would see the normal and standard candidate for our market, Italian market. And therefore, I think that Germany, although was the first mover in this space, and ended up representing a subset of what we see will be the case for our market. Therefore, not just a broad access to liquidity driven by the size of the issuer, but more access to liquidity driven by the status or the financial strength of the issuer. United Kingdom, they have generated the order book for retail bonds. Again, this is a market aimed at providing, generated by the London Stock Exchange, launched by the London Stock Exchange, and aimed at providing access to financing for small and medium enterprises, aimed at both institutional and retail investors, with one caveat though, that the criteria and the requirements for listing are of a very high and demanding standards. Effectively, the ORB was developed as part of the main market rather than the AIM type mod market, and therefore the high level of disclosure and transparency tends to be the one used by the bigger companies, the listed companies, and therefore it provided a sort of bottlenecks for the smaller companies in need of a lean and efficient listing process. Therefore, I would call it's a rather underperforming opportunity. Spain, very important. At the end of 2013, the government pushed for or underlined the need for this facility to be accessed, and therefore there was the inaugural issue for Copasa, and this has been the first issue on the market, the MARF, Mercato Alternativo di Renta Fija, and we do understand that this is a growing market, and we'll get to the Copasa issue in a second. Again, this is, as opposed to the retail-oriented, institutional retail-oriented English and German market, this is aimed at institutional investors. We've long talked about the Italian framework and the Extramod Pro, and therefore I won't get into the details, but it's clear that so far we've had, since the market was established, around 5 billion of issuances. And what I strongly believe is that we're just at the very beginning, because the 5 billion issued so far are not a representation of what the potential of the market is, because a large portion of these 5 billion, as you can see, yes, a large portion of the 2013 production, for example, is large size, which is it falls under, it is listed on the Extramod Pro, and it falls under the category of mini bond, but de facto is not what we are talking about today. Therefore, I strongly believe that we are at the very beginning, and the initiative established by Banca di Vicenza is a great initiative that comes with a great timing as well. Now, I think that is important to highlight is in the context of the current project, from a capital market perspective, what are the key aspects for the issuers on one side and for the investors on the other side. Starting with the issuers, I mean, as a synopsis, some things have already been touched, but from a capital market perspective, clearly there is access to a more efficient, reliable funding market. As we said, there is legal support, the legal framework is very supportive, the investors are getting organized, and therefore there is a total receptivity ready to provide the liquidity. The diversification of funding sources and geographies, of course, we do expect a significant portion of the financing to be provided by non-Italian investors, which is very important. Tax advantages, as we discussed earlier. Then cross-fertilization of trades with investors, because of course the opening of this mini-bond market will provide visibility to issuers, which will then be able to have a more international presence, and therefore being able to access all different kind of financing and leading up to eventually also equity participation. Therefore, there is a clear visibility feature. Increase that tenor, we do, as we said, 3 to 7 years means that rather than being constrained on the loan side to shorter maturity, issuer would be able to access financing for the long run, and therefore being able to plan investment and have a better managed ALM. Again, on the covenant, covenant is a feature that is a case by case, of course, but generally speaking, should be a covenant light sector as opposed to more covenant intensive loan segment. On the other hand, with regard to investor, clearly the yield and the opportunity to diversify the investment in specific situation with a thorough analysis behind rating and therefore being able to access diversified opportunities at appealing yield is clearly an opportunity. Growing dedicated mini bond funds provide extra access, direct and indirect, to the segment. KG and market secondary liquidity support, this is also very important. We do expect the market to be liquid. We do expect the exchange to provide liquidity. And of course, this is going to be beneficial to the participants For example, on the Copasa, in the Copasa case, the Spanish case, first inaugural issue, post launch, post settlement, we have traded 20% of the notion in the secondary market, which is significant. It is a representation of the fact that liquidity does exist. On the tax side, again, there are for white-listed domiciled investor, there is no withholding, which is a facilitation as well, that makes access from non-Italian investors smooth and efficient in the minibond space. Last few words on Copasa. Copasa is the first inaugural issue in Spain of the Spanish, let's say, minibond market. It was a 50 million issue. Copasa is a firm with, well, first of all, is a firm in the space of civil engineering and railways, road construction, hospital, with a very strong international presence, and was chosen in a way by the Spanish government to be the first issuer to come to the market to launch the Spanish minibond market, and to also be the first one to be listed on the MARF. Transaction was, of course, fully subscribed, and a vast portion, a significant portion, was placed outside of Spain, and of course the private banking sector provided a very important contribution to the underwriting of the bonds. But the underwriting was the investors were well diversified, private banking. We had banks as well, fund managers, and insurance company as well. I do expect in Italy, considering also the approach taken by the insurance sector regulator, IVAS, the insurance sector to be very much a participant into this space. That's it for me.
Okay, thank you, Andrea. Very helpful and very technical presentation. So now we need to arrange the case study section. As I introduced to you at the beginning of this morning, we have two companies today, and is Estra, represented by Alessandro Piazzi, and Testbeck, represented by Mr. Cacciadominioni and Mrs. Turani. So the case study section will be run by Paolo Altichieri, Head of Global Markets for Popolare di Vicenza. I'll ask Mrs. Dominioni to be here. No, that's fine.
Okay, good morning everybody. My role today is to introduce the two business case, so two real transactions that we have in the pipeline and that would represent March business. Anyway, before leaving the word to Mr. Cacciadominioni, I would like to put on the spotlight a couple of features of our role as an intermediary in this type of business. First of all, Andrea Pizzetta has told, but I think that it is not so common in the financial market. Banca Popolare di Vicenza is not simply putting a skin in the game. We are full underwriting the transactions. So you can easily understand that if something is going wrong on our side, this would be extremely harmful for us. Having said that, you can also understand why in structuring the transactions we have tried, and this is our reading of a minibond topic, we have decided to include in the structure a heavy covenant profile. Just, I don't want to be anecdotal, but just to give you the idea, we have a group of people that were part of the structured finance team that in all good times were dealing with syndicated loans that are now have been switched and are focused on minibond only. This means that we are incorporating and embedding in the terms of condition of the bonds a number of elements that are more familiar to a loan rather than to a straightforward bond. This is to give additional protection to investors and, at first glance, also to us. The covenants that we have been included are reason why there is a negotiation, to some extent tough negotiations with issuers, because of course we are promoting the transaction, we are an intermediary of course, but first of all we are an underwriter, so we are risking money with investors. The second comment is more on the positive side. So first of all, protection, we are accredited investors like all the other investors, and we don't want to get any loss. But secondly, if we are an investors, our profile and our attitude is to select good quality companies. I think that the definition of good quality is extremely difficult to be provided. What we can do, and today we have the possibility really to investigate this good quality meaning, is that good quality means top class rating with a strong creditworthiness, and if the company is not listed yet, this means also that in the plan of the company, the lending in the fantastic world of a listed equity should be taken into account. This does not mean that listing is good by definition, but is in a way, from a pure credit perspective, something that is providing additional protection. I've said good quality. You can easily understand that dealing with the first couple of transactions, or the debut transactions, our efforts has been to select the top of the credit. We have a pipeline of 20 to 30 names by mid this year. The debut transaction must be great. And we have selected these two institutions for different reasons, but I do really believe that they do provide the right feeling of what we mean as good quality. Now I leave the words to Mr. Cacciatore.
I don't know if we are the good quality or not, but thank you everybody. I don't know, we have our presentation here. Thank you everybody. Tesbank is a public listed company. We used to be a family-owned company with a financial partner. We were quoted we made IPO in the pet period of 2010. We were here in London. And we were one of the last companies that were entered the stock market in Italy. It was a good school for us because in a way we have changed the mentality. Starting from that period, we are now trying to create a company that is going to have a long-term commitment on the market. We originally used to be a market leader in the area of electrical line stringing. That in a way is a one-off business because when you have new line, you work, but when there are no new line, we are making just maintenance, but it's not, the market is not so positive like the maintenance market. We are now going to develop in this business a huge effort to enter the business of maintenance, efficiency, and working on the line. We are now, after 2 years, working in 3 business model units. The first one is energy. Energy is a worldwide market. We're working in more than 100 countries, and we have in this area, we are the market leader with 20% of the worldwide market. And our competitor, normally all local companies, basically Chinese or international company, but basically the second company has less than 10% of the market share. this is a market that in a way is a technological market, but in a way is also a difficult market because it's also connected to the infrastructure policy. In the past year, energy used to grow very fast. Last year was not so easy due to the new events connected to the change of the economy, but on a long-term basis, energy is going to be a huge development for our business. The second business are the pipeline, but basically we have a company located in USA, and in USA we are known as an American company. This is the best market, and the driver of the development in this area is normally now the infrastructure connected to gas. Shale gas is one of the leading, but also big pipe worldwide are coming, especially in Middle East area and in Canada area. The further market share where we're working is railway, and we're coming out from our experience in energy transmission. We are working the installation of the new electrical line and all the equipment devices that are working for maintenance of railway lines. We are the market leader, just to give an idea, in China. This Lego, it was supplied to China Grid, to China CSCC China Corporation, and no doubt that all the big new railway lines are electrical lines. Estesmec, where we are, this is a short list of our product, where we are going. We were used to work originally in the area of machine. Now we are working more in the area of grid efficiency. Grid efficiency connected especially to renewable energy is one of the key problems. We are on the way. The last 2 years we have made acquisition of 2 or 3 technological companies, basically coming up from Italy, that were with good technology but with no market share, because everywhere Europe, everybody knows that in Europe, especially in Italy, the market is not booming due to the shortage of money in the public administration, due to the shortage of money in the utilities. For this reason, with our basically commercial organization and knowledge, because we are well known worldwide in the major utility, we are trying to utilize this technology to enter in this project. We have signed the last period an agreement in Russia, and in these days we are now starting to develop the first high voltage line, automatically controlled pilot line in Russia, and we are going on in the next future to have a general agreement with the FSK and of course Russian energy grid that is one of the biggest grid in the world, and one of the grid that is starting from the communist period that needed to have a lot of investment because the energy distribution is changing in Russia. In this area, Italy is a good niche of technology because there is a lot of knowledge connected to the past research done. Unfortunately, as we told, the local market is not growing. Just to give an idea, our market in Italy is less than 5% of our turnover. Coming on about railway, as we told, the 2 big markets for us are now, one is China for electrical installation, the second one is for maintenance. We are now compliant with the US rules, and basically we are one of the only authorized American, compliant with American by rules, and we have several projects going on with Amtrak, that is in a way a state-owned company, very difficult to manage, but in a way is a long-term good opportunity for us. If everything is going on, we are going to create a new factory in Texas to follow this market. As of today, we have already a shop, a manufacturing shop, but we are manufacturing just the 3rd line of machine that are the trenching machine. Trenching machine are a well-known machine in USA. The 2 key markets for us are in one area, USA, the second area is Middle East, basically Saudi and Qatar. Qatar is now booming as a market. It's not so easy on a financial point of view because it's a strange situation. In the Middle East area, they are very rich, but to get money from them is not so easy. So basically, we have to do something in innovative way, because we were thinking to go there and to collect money, but the opposite, it seems that the money is to come from Europe. But in a way, on a long term, basically more connected to the water industry than to the oil and gas, but we're going to have huge opportunity. In Qatar, there is a niche problem connected to infrastructure. We are working especially now in the area of the new metro lines that are going to be installed. It's a huge project, interesting, because you have just to know everybody, but it's not so easy, because we have to give a guarantee for high daily production with our machine, and we are obliged at that point not to give a machine, but to give a European solution. So we have to send our personnel, our service people, because if not, the machine are not working at all. Where we are located now, basically we have a factory. We are basically connected to euro and dollar. We produce in Europe the machine for European market. We produce in USA the machine for US market. No doubt that the production in a way in Europe is easier, because technically the mechanical business is the strong area is North Italy, Germany and Switzerland. But opposite, let's say, on a cost-effective point of view, is in a way better to produce in the States. And no doubt that if we will have to have a good market share in USA, we have to be US compliant. No doubt that the policy in USA is going to go in that area. We have been invited the last period to select USA, and in the future we are obliged to produce for the local market the majority of our machines in USA. As of today, we have a natural hedge about the rate changes, because basically we produce in USA what we sell in dollar, and we produce in Europe what we sell in euro. That no doubt that our next step is to go to produce also in a low-cost country, because Asia is in a way the future for us. It's not, as of today, it's not yet ready for a certain type of product, because they are buying low cost, but they're coming out now to buy technology. Our group, our philosophy, we have two or three manufacturing entities. Basically, the manufacturer is in Italy and USA, and we are growing globally with a joint venture business, because especially in the Middle East area, we are obliged to have a joint venture 50-50 or 51-49 with local partners. This is a rule, and basically in our books we have three joint ventures, important joint venture, one in USA with a distributor, two joint venture in Saudi Arabia, and we are going on in that area. Probably we are going to have in the future also a joint venture in Russia to follow the local grid. This joint venture normally, due to the IAS compliant new rules, are not consolidated. We are just giving the last figures, the last line figures, so the net profit, because in accordance with the last rule of Ernst & Young, we are not going line by line. This is in a way negative for us, because we expect this year to have 60 to 70 million out of our revenue, but in a way, this is the rule. In a way, this was done starting in 2010, but this is giving a better stability on our figures. Where we are now, basically, as you told, we have a location all around the world. Where we are strong, in a way, traditionally, are United States. We have two locations, one for stringing that is in Texas, one is in Minnesota, and we have a strong presence in the Middle East area, but Middle East we are basically in a joint venture, so basically not consolidated, and we do service for our machine, after sales and training, and now we are going to enter also in a special subcontracting business with the local big international company. We're working now for Samsung, we're working for PC, we're working for the big player worldwide. Our key market, as I told, are United States. This year was, after years of not easy market, was a very good year, both in the area of electrical lines and in the area of underground application. the leading market for USA now is the shale gas market, the gas market, gas and oil transportation, because it is a huge opportunity for everybody. No doubt that Obama was supposed to be a green president, opposite is pushing a lot of the energy business because no doubt that the first priority for USA to be competitive and to keep energy price very low. Our revenue are split worldwide, and this year, for example, we had a difficulty here in the area of BRICS, because basically starting from the last month of this year, the figure of the 2011, 2012, but 2014, the BRICS were not in an easy situation. Opposite, the US market was growing. The key project that we have now, as I thought, are all spread in the world in a different area. So basically, we are not connected to a specific country, specific area. We are looking that this is the only way to survive now, because the traditional business is moving very fast from one country to the other. For example, in the period, Russia last year was very good, 2 years ago was very good. The last period, Russia is not so easy due to the political situation and due to what is going on in the political situation in Ukraine and region like that. As company, we are leader in innovation. We are spending more than 10% of our revenue in innovation. We have around 100 people working in research, and this is the only way for us to survive. We have a strong integration with our partner. We are working for service, and we think that in a way we can stay as a competitive company. We have high potential to grow, but no doubt that we are strictly connected to the economic situation that has to grow. We are looking that we have huge opportunities center of the world where we have, for example, now a new development in Africa. Sub-Saharan Africa is a huge opportunity. We have, in fact, already a fully owned company in South Africa that can work in that area. As we told, coming out why we are here, because due to Popular Vicenza, we have already completed, due to the fact that we were listed, the certificate rating procedure. I don't know why, but they give us a 2.2, and we are happy because looking to what they thought seems to be reasonably good. We hope that we can increase also, because but no doubt that when we were talking about mini bonds, our first priority was to do something easy, but it seems that is nothing easy. But second point is to give back the money and to be ready to be responsible for the business. And we hope that finally the third party are telling us that we are good, we think that we are good, and we can have an opportunity. Why we are doing a mini bond decision? Because of the fact that we think that we need to have, after 2 years ago we became public company, and we are now thinking that we have to be the capital market is working in a different way to what used to be in Italy, because no doubt that the financial situation in Italy is not so easy, and to have a long-term commitment is not realistic. We are paying probably. We are discussing about after that if you are authorized or not. We're talking about the 7-year mini bond. We are paying probably the bond more than what we pay now a normal loan, but no doubt that we are happy to work in a different way, because we want to work in a different way with bankers, because we are looking that the Italian banks are ready to work on a short-term basis, but are not really committed for long-term operation, probably due to the new rules of Basel III commitment on the ratio and commitment like that. If these things are working, I think that our system can grow. If this system is not working, I think that all the Italian companies are going to have a huge problem to grow fast. For Tesmec, this is a good opportunity, because looking to our numbers that are in a way, we cannot give the number of 2014, we are growing, and we think that we can have a good future these are the figure out of our 50-50 joint venture, out of everything. And we are looking, last year was not a good year, and in fact we are giving the communication that 2014, due to the last 3 months that were not good, but we think that this year we are going to have a double-digit growing business. Especially we are growing very fast in the railway business, we are growing very fast in the smart grid and the grid efficiency business. I don't know, I am here, if I can give any more information, I might be.
Okay, many thanks. So top of the cream, you see what I mean. I would say, and this is quite common to the manufacturing industry in Italy. We have a key player in specific market segments. In Italy, as you are acutely aware, we do not have big nationals, but Casmec is one of the examples of the excellence of the made in Italy. So strong focus on specific market segment where they want to be one of the main players. Export-led in terms of turnover, if I remember correctly, less than 5% is based in Italy. So it is really a multinational company in terms of distribution of its product. Last but not least, listed companies. This means, and this is another ingredient for us in order to define what is a good company, that they are able to face the international community. They have already taken a strategic decision regarding the fact that transparency must drive their communications to the market. Coming to the transaction, it has been announced yesterday by the company the signature of the arrangement agreement with us. We are targeting a transaction of about 15 million euros, 7 years in terms of tenor, and we are targeting a yield slightly above 6%. We are completing the admission document, so the filing to the Italian Stock Exchange, and we will be ready in the course of the next couple of weeks, hopefully, to provide all investors a single package. All the transactions that will be led by us will be characterized by the following feature. We will set up a info package. In the info package, investors would be able to find a rating report, so all the transactions will be rated, and an analytical rating report will be available. The admission document is another relevant component because it provides legal terms of a transaction, and it is account what I was saying before. What is relevant is the set of financial and non-financial covenants that are included in each transaction. So this is what we do really believe is a good company. At the same time, always meeting the criteria of good company, but with a different background. We have Estra. Today with me, we have a CEO of a company, Professor Alessandro Piazzi. I've been asked by Mr. Piazzi to provide an introduction of the company, and he is here with me in order to give a reply to any questions from your side. Estra, Estra is at the same time a young company, recent company, but also a well-established company. Let us see what does it mean. Estra, as it is now, was born in 2008, so it is like a young child. But anyway, it is the result, the outcome of a merger of existing local utilities, as we had many in Italy. the origin of a company is in Tuscany, and the original partners providing assets to this new venture were the city of Prato, the city of Siena, and the city of Arezzo. Today, Astra is one of the two main players in Tuscany regarding multi-utility service, and they have a strong focus on two businesses that are gas distribution and gas sale. They have also some modest operation in the electricity sale, but this is not so relevant. If we take into account what Astra is today, we need to focus on their geographical position. Tuscany, is located in the central part of Italy, and they have recently decided to develop their operation from the Mediterranean Sea, that is their birthplace, to the Adriatic Sea, where they have set up a JV with local partners in the region of Marche. Dealing with the gas distribution business means also dealing with geographical issues. The fact that they are covering a relevant part in Italy from the Mediterranean Sea to the Adriatic Sea has a relevant intangible value. The magic word in the corporate business is synergies. They are trying to develop a business model where they have the possibility to get a very focused presence in a limited number of regions where they can play a relevant role. The fact that they have networks that are connected and close one to the other is a reason of strong efficiency. Just to make an example, yesterday evening Professor Piazzi was telling me if we have a maintenance team, and you can easily imagine that with a distribution network and distribution grid, this is something that is extremely well required. The fact that you have your grid concentrated or located within 100 kilometers or so is giving a strong added value. Geographically, if you are familiar with the Italian multi-utility environment, they are, let's say, separating what are the operations of the big Rome utility Acea from ERA, that is located in Emilia-Romagna. We are really in between. So geographic position is an asset because it means that you can better exploit your resources, your maintenance team, and your supervision. At the same time, geography is not the only ingredient to get a good performing business. Not to make a long story, but Italy is Italy has a long tradition in the gas business. People of my age have been grown with a jingle from the TV advertising that was more or less like that. Il metano ti dà una mano. That is to say, gas is supporting you, is giving you a hand in order to do better conditions. And this jingle goes back to early 70s. That is to say, Italy has a long established tradition in the gas business, and this has put the country in a position to develop not only a grid, a network that is quite widespread, but at the same time some very relevant professional and skillful technical knowledge regarding the management of these networks. This is part of a legacy. Astra is reading this legacy in a very relevant way. They are, let's say, top class in the management of their network. It is impressive the type of remote control system that had been put in place in order to get a full monitoring of a grid. This is for monitoring and for consumption. Additionally, just to give you an idea of what excellence from a technical perspective might be, take into account that Estra has signed relevant agreements with the most important university faculty in engineering science, that is the Polytechnic of Milano. We are developing together support services in order to improve daily the way the network is managed. At the same time, people from Estra, before what I was mentioning the maintenance team, when a maintenance team from Estra is deployed on the ground, what is impressive is that they're able to get immediate communication with the central office through a extremely sophisticated system based on the use of a Wi-Fi system and of tablets. Some features regarding the company. I have mentioned that the main business unit for Estra are gas sale, gas distribution, and they have also of some operations, even if they're not so big, in the energy sale. I would say that the majority of the turnover is linked to the gas business, both sale and distribution. At the current stage, the ownership of Estra is in the hands of a sub-holding company, and the ultimate shareholders are Italian municipalities. These Italian municipalities decided, in order to get a more effective management of this business, to mandate the running of this business to a larger corporation. There is a consolidation trend underway in Italy about that. In the Italian newspaper, you can read more or less every week that some type of a JV or merger or acquisitions are done by the major entities. We can count Estra amongst these major entities. And the recent transaction that has been executed that has led Estra to the region of Marche is a clear sign of the trend that is underway. Some hints also regarding some peculiarities of a distribution business in Italy. In Italy, the ownership of the grid is not a full ownership. What does it mean? Every 12 years, if I remember correctly, the network is put into a tender offer where utilities can bid in order to run the grid. So it can happen to Estra that in the course of next years they might even miss some of the grid that are currently under their management. Anyway, this is a regulated business, and had this situation the possibility to materialize, this would not cause any drawbacks or any negative side effects to credit investors. This is because in case you are missing your grid that has been under the management for a long period of time, anyway, there is an indemnity mechanism for the utility that is missing the future management. In the case of Estra, this morning the management provided me with these figures. In case, and of course it is a theoretical case, in a second, today, we are going to miss all their distribution grids. Anyway, the indemnity that are going to receive is 350 million euro net of debt. Again, this is the extreme case, but it is relevant to take into account that a compensation mechanism, the indemnity mechanism, is such that in the situation for Estra, at least, there would any, let's say, reduction in prospective or projected EBITDA would be more than offset by a cash compensation. Again, this is a theoretical case, but you need to take into account. Another relevant implication of the fact that ownership is not an ownership is due to the fact that the grid cannot be pledged to any type of lender. And in the case of an entity like Estra, this means that it is very difficult, if not impossible, to find secured creditor. So in the case of Estra, from a pure credit perspective, being a senior unsecured creditor is putting us in a position of being like a secure creditor, because nobody can have a pledge over the distribution network due to this mechanism where an ownership is not a full ownership. Coming to us, I do really think that 2014 might be really a milestone in the history of the company. They have decided to tap a financial market with a mini bond. We are taking into account a 50 million transaction, so a large size. I would say the largest size that an entity like Vicenza would take into consideration. It will be a 5-year transaction, and it will be a fixed coupon slightly above 5%. In addition to this, as I was saying, good company means company that are already listed or that might go listed. We have learned from the management that a listing is in the cards. That's why we have complemented the terms of the bond, including an equity kicker. This is a real example of what we mean an equity kicker. So bondholders will be entitled to receive for the whole life of a transaction a fixed coupon, slightly above 5%. In addition to this, contingent to the fact the company is taking the view to go listed, anyway, the company has taken the decision to create an institutional tranche of the IPO offering that is reserved to bondholders. This means that in case of listing, you have a certainty in terms of allocation. Last but not least, anyway, the IPO price will be discounted by a percentage. In other terms, the management, in a very friendly way towards credit investors, is taking the view that if they are able to finalize the listing, of course, this is due to the skillful of the management, to the strategic decisions that are going to be taken and that have already been taken, but at the same time, the need to share the value of this change also with credit investors. Again, the bond is a fixed rate bond. It is not a convertible bond, not a soft mandatory convertible bond, nothing like that. It is a pure fixed income security. The right I was referring to is an additional right that is given to the credit investors. Credit investors might decide to use this right and become also, in addition, a shareholder of a company, or alternatively, they might designate a third beneficiary so that they might dispose this right to a third party. And due to the fact there is a discount in the pricing and a certainty regarding the full allocation, we do really believe that this has an economic value. Regarding the listing, that is perhaps one of the main differences between Estra and Tesbeck, I wonder if we might define a roadmap regarding the next steps, and without, of course, at this stage taking any commitment, because the board of directors must take, and ultimately the shareholders' meetings must take a view. If we have a roadmap in front of us, what do you think in terms of timing, if 2014 is a reasonable time?
Noi pensiamo di raggiungere la quotazione in borsa in AIM, che è il mercato, quel segmento di mercato per piccole e medie aziende, nell'arco di 4-5 mesi, e come un primo step per poi proseguire la quotazione in borsa diciamo nell'arco di 1 anno o 18 mesi. Questo è il nostro percorso. C'è nel mezzo un percorso autorizzativo da parte dei comuni proprietari che noi pensiamo di ottenere nell'arco del mese di marzo-aprile. Questi sono i grandi step. Quindi la quotazione in borsa, il CDA l'ha già approvata, quindi noi siamo già in fase di approvazione della delibera di quotazione in borsa, e quindi se non ci sono, come dire, eventi straordinari che impediscono, il mercato in questo momento sembra ben orientato verso questo tipo di operazioni, e quindi noi immaginiamo che entro 4-5 mesi si possa avere la quotazione in borsa in AIM per un 20-25% del nostro equity, e nel passaggio successivo immaginiamo di quotare fino al 49% diciamo, della proprietà diciamo, di Estra. Questo è il nostro obiettivo, che ci ripromettiamo di ottenere nell'arco di 1 anno, 1 anno e mezzo.
Many thanks, Professor Piazzi. So, we have heard directly from the CEO of the company that the listing plan is not an academic exercise. They are saying that within 2014 is very likely they might go listed. They do expect to get all the internal approvals by the ultimate shareholders by the end of March, targeting within 3-4 months the possibility to get the share listed in the public stock exchange. Last but not least, what Mr. Piazzi has just said is that the target of a company is to get at a 49% listing. So a good stake of a company ultimately will be listed. What is still under discussion, and it will be contingent to the conditions of a financial market, is the possibility to go listed in a single solution, or if they might have a two-step approach. First, the listing in the Italian AIM, the alternative investment market, and secondly, a switch to the Italian main stock exchange. Anyway, we do really believe that in this case, the equity kicker that is coupled to the transaction is, again, not something academic that an investor should take into account, but something that can prove really very material in terms of economic value that will bring to the transaction. We are refining the terms of this right, and we have already submitted the admission document for a preliminary review to the stock exchange. We are finalizing the docs, and we do expect this to be a March business. Thank you. We are now available, and the two are representatives of the companies for any questions, or also any questions regarding the initiative of the Minibond. Good point. There has been a lot of discussion about the possibility to set up a fund that might be ultimately distributed to retail clients. We do not want, at a first stance, that the investment in the fund, that is an investment in mini bonds, might be executed by pure retail investors. We tend to think that the fund that we are going to set up might be an asset for funds, for asset managers that are providing investment solutions to their clients. But at a first glance, we tend to exclude the possibility for pure retail clients to buy small chunk of the funds. They might have, this is our target, it might happen that asset managers might underwrite component of this fund as part of their investments, and that their funds might be underwritten by retail clients.
Just to follow up on that question, and just to talk about the Italian market only, can you give us a profile of what those investors look like? In other words, what's roughly the breakdown between banks, foundations, pension funds, insurers, etc.?
In terms of
the investors.
Okay.
In the Minibond. Yeah.
In the Minibonds. Okay. I think that we might try to make a distinction between the direct investment into Minibonds on the one hand, and investments in credit funds. My reading is that dealing with Minibonds directly can be done by professional investors, but perhaps not everybody will be ready at the first round to invest directly. So I tend to think that large investors, sophisticated investors, will be open to buy one transaction or another. They will be selective, but there will be demand. In terms of breakdown, I tend to think that asset managers and some insurance company might play a relevant role. If we take into account pension funds, under the current legal framework, it is almost impossible for them to invest directly in a Minibond. They need a wrapper that might be well represented by a credit fund. Regarding the credit fund that we are going to set up, our goal is to get distribution to a wide range of professional investors in Italy, and not only in Italy. The newly appointed Prime Minister yesterday mentioned that there are resources already available that might be put at work in order to support the SME financing, and we do expect that this might materialize. At the same time, our goal is not only to distribute the fund in Italy, but also outside Italy. That's why we have taken the decision to team up with Lixor, the asset manager of a Société Générale group. As Andrea was saying in his speech, we are a medium-sized Italian financial institution. but we have some specialties. And dealing with Italian SME is something that is quite often coupled with the name and the brand of Popolare di Vicenza. We have been the only Italian financial institutions tapping financial markets with a public SME securitization since 2005, and this happened in July 2013. This means that our approach to SMEs has been duly scrutinized by rating agencies. There is plenty of material about that, and our feeling is that perhaps the same investors that in the past invested in our SME securitization might be interested in listening at least to us about this type of product. This is because we are still speaking of SME exposure.
Let me add just an information regarding the potential investors of mini-bond funds or securitization of mini-bonds, etc. Talking about the insurance companies in Italy, Patrizia mentioned before that they are entitled to invest part of their technical reserves in mini-bonds, fund of mini-bonds, or ABS of mini-bonds. You have to take into account that the total amount of technical reserves for insurance company in Italy are 500 billions. This means that since the cap is 3%, we could have at least 15 billions invested by insurance company on this kind of instruments. It's difficult to know now the appetite for this kind of instrument because it's a new instrument. We are setting up the fund. Other competitors are setting up the fund, and everybody obviously goes to insurance company in order to obtain underwriting. But these are the numbers, so you can figure out how could be the market in terms of insurance company, and then we have to add foundations, we have to add pension funds, and we have to add family offices, obviously.
Can you explain how you deal with the problem of the underwriter or broker liability? People I've talked to in this market have highlighted the point that with a high yield bond, for example, the usual procedure is to get a legal opinion from a law firm. But the cost of this is quite high, and relative to the size of a small mini bond, could be an obstacle. So can you tell me what your approach to that problem is?
Please elaborate a bit more. Not sure I have properly understood.
If a high yield bond is brought to the market, the typical procedure is that the underwriter or the lead bank gets a legal opinion from a law firm saying that the due diligence has been done properly and all the risks assessed and so on, and therefore that the underwriter has done everything it can to protect, to make sure it's a proper company above board and so on. The purpose of this is to protect the bank from legal liability. Okay, so that becomes a challenge when you have a small bond where the resources of the issuer to pay such fees are much less.
Good point. We've tried to address this topic two different ways. On the one hand, we don't want anybody to rely on Banca Popolare di Vicenza credit assessment of a company, even if there is a strong alignment of interest, because again, we are buyer of the securities and we are providing a full underwriting to the company. But anyway, what we have tried to do is to mitigate this risk, providing a third-party assessment of the creditworthiness of each prospective issuer, that is to say, the rating report. And in addition to this, what we have set up is a partnership with ORIC, that today is hosting us, in order to get some type of agreement where the pipeline of transactions is such that they are able to provide a very competitive quote regarding the type of legal service that you are referring to. Again, you have put under the spotlight a very delicate topic where the transaction must be, let's say, credible for everybody, must be sustainable also for the issuer. What we are trying to do is to get our own analysis as a bank and as an investor, a third-party analysis, and support from a law firm in order to get some confidence also about these aspects.
You mentioned that there are some simplified listing requirements for companies that list in this market segment. For example, my question is, does companies still have to disclose qualified holdings or other kind of price-sensitive information, or just bond-related information?
Okay. Are you referring to the pure mini bond or to the AIM segment of Italian Stock Exchange? So
Pure mini bond.
pure mini bond. We have, let's put it this way, we are credit investors, and I say we because we are part of the investor group. What we have defined, and I hope that the draft of the admission documents might provide better explanation of that. We have defined a number of covenants where initiatives or any action regarding, for instance, disposal of assets or, let's say, new acquisitions or any relevant change in the profile of a company must be communicated, and to some extent we have also limited the number of actions that the company can do autonomously. I mean, we are not yet a shareholder of a company, but what we want is that the company might follow the industrial plan that has been displayed to us and to all the investors upon the launch of the transaction. And we set financial covenants and non-financial covenants that must be respected. At the same time, we have defined a category of eventi pregiudizievoli, that is to say, events that are not or may not have an immediate impact to the financial covenants, but that might cause troubles to the company in the future. For instance, any tax litigation above some threshold amounts must be communicated. The breach of covenants, both financial and non-financials, are activating some actions on our side that might vary according to the covenant and according to the different issues, where basically we want to have the right to get at an acceleration in case something that was not admitted has been materialized.
Just to clarify, but these are requirements that you negotiate with the company. What my question is more on the regulatory side. On the regulatory side, were there a simplification in the government measures, or?
Well, you have a credit instrument, not a listed share. So, to my reading, the requirements are, let's say, mainly coupled with the fact that you need audited accounts, you must publish audited accounts, you must make them available to investors. These are the basic guidelines of the Extramot Pro. What we have tried to do on our side is to complement this framework with a number of, let's say, bilateral prescriptions, I mean, clauses that are included in the terms and conditions, where the issuer is taking responsibilities with the investors in order to provide an additional set of information and in order to limit or, let's say, narrow the room of maneuver if some type of situations are going to materialize. Again, the way we have been trying to structure mini bonds is to mirror most of the terms of a structured finance transaction. So, if you are familiar with the typical components, disposal of assets and financial covenants, change of business, something like that, you will find that these set of terms are familiar and are included in the transactions that we are bringing to the market.
If I can add a quick comment, additionally to what Paolo was mentioning, of course we are doing our rating activity, which is not limited to the assignment of the rating at the beginning of the transaction, but that does include also I would say almost a daily monitoring activity on all the events that can have an impact on the rating level and on the debtor profile. So our contribution is to give that monitoring activity almost on a daily basis, supported by quite a sophisticated data set information system.
Just a further note to what has been said. Ultimately, the Extramod Pro will be aimed at institutional investor, professional investor only, which by nature, therefore, will require a less burdensome documentation with regard to the documentation of the bonds.
By the way, let me say, look like from page 59, the list of procedure and documentation you need to list the extra amount. All in all, let me say, Paolo, from my state, the set of documents is more or less the same that we're talking about the Eurobond out from a normal AA or single A corporation in Euroland, in Europe, or the support initial fund. It's not very similar. The law in Italy has been very, very careful not to try to give them less transparent as possible.
You rightly raised the point of the potential conflict of interest as being a provider of loans, obviously in a range of bonds. And we understand that Banco Popolare di Vicenza has some skin in the game. Can you try to explain a little bit, let's say, what are the companies will be more likely guides towards mini bonds versus the ones who will be providing loans on your balance sheet? I mean, is it more complementary? Is it more that any new debt requirements will be covered by mini bonds, or is it a degree of, let's say, cannibalization to some extent?
I would say very, very good point. Unfortunately, there is no one-size-fits-all reply. We need to take into account and adopt a case-by-case approach. Having said that, the guidelines that we have put in place are more or less the following, that are guidelines that are reflected in the selection of the counterparties. That is to say, only the top of the cream of our clients can access mini bonds, because we have internally set a maximum probability of default of this company that has been fixed at 1.62%. Secondly, the Vicenza, but to my reading, nobody in the Italian banking system is providing unsecured 5-year bullet loan. So if we find let's say, a company, a management, an entrepreneur that has in mind a relevant, challenging business model, that is based not only on the past track record, but on a number of initiatives that is going to put in place in the future, we tend to look at the Minibond, if applicable, as the right tool to provide financing to the company. I mean, we do really understand that it cannot finance any growth strategy based on the trade finance facilities or overdraft. At the same time, we are also acutely aware that a traditional amortizing loan might not be the proper solution. The reason is that in a difficult and challenging environment like the one that we are living right now, we don't want to have any company in a situation where they are really in the middle of implementation of their industrial plan and they need to meet financial obligations of repaying, let's say, harmful installment of existing loans. So we need to be extremely careful in selecting the counterparties because they must be capable to implement an industrial plan. But at the same time, we need also to be extremely pragmatic and take into account of the current difficult environment. We need to find solutions that might give to the company also the flexibility to face any unexpected bad surprise along the implementation of industrial plan. That's why we tend to think that the bullet profile is the right solution. Having said that, what we do represent is that if a client is eligible in terms of creditworthiness for a Minibond, what we cannot do is to provide a loan because he is the top of the cream. So if he is the top of the cream, the treatment is the same. I can provide only a Minibond. Okay.
Okay, if there are no more questions, we'll stop here. Thank you everybody again, and it's been, from my point of view, a great day, and have a good day in London. Thank you very much. Bye.